If you work for the Catholic Church and want to avoid burnout, overcome parish dysfunctions, and put more souls in the pews, we're here to help. I'm Thai Hua, here with my co-host Jon Cons, and this is the Catholic Ministry Professionals Podcast, your favorite leadership development podcast for Catholic churches. Each week, you can expect engaging discussions, expert interviews, and actionable advice to help you move Jesus' mission forward in your parish. Today, we're going to fix pulpit announcements. How are you, Jon?
Ty, I'm good. Did I blow out your eardrums there on the intro?
A little bit.
I'm so sorry. I forgot to turn it down. But we did turn it down partially in, so we're ready to rock
down
for what? That's nobody's going to understand that reference.
Yeah,
in our audience.
Well, you never know. There are a couple of very hip and I wouldn't say smart. You can't call it smart, but just cultured.
Was that from the prophet Little John?
Yeah, Little James.
Oh, Little James.
Well, no, Little Jonathan. Not
Little
James.
Jonathan.
I don't know why I was thinking James was the
brother.
Yeah.
Oh, from The Chosen?
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So anyway, speaking of banter, let's talk about pulpit announcements, should we? How about that for a segue? Was that good?
I usually, when I hear pulpit announcement, I usually tune out. So I really didn't know what you're talking about.
I'm hoping our listeners are still with us after having said that word. Yeah, and I do want to talk about that today. I have a specific story from this weekend that drove me and my wife nuts. And we were out of town, so it's not a local parish, so I don't mind ragging on it. But what I want to frame real quick is we're not talking about when your pastor gets up and lists off the things that are in the bulletin so that you can't avoid seeing them. That's not what we're talking about here with like a pulpit announcement. That I don't think those are appropriate either. Like if it's in the bulletin, just tell them, hey, look at your bulletin. We got a few things going on this week. Do that instead of listing them off. What I'm talking about is when somebody is invited up to give a specific announcement about their cause. And this is especially prevalent on my mind. We've been doing this Ministry Fix series for a while. This is on my mind. It was already on the list, but now it needs to be talked about because I get a little fire in my belly after this weekend and my wife and like our experience. We are back with the Ministry Fix series. And last week we heard from Father Pat Bame to talk about how it is our responsibility, the laity's responsibility to sanctify the world order. But today we're jumping back in it and we're fixing the ministries in our parish, giving solid practical advice that you can take action on to improve the ways that we bring people to Jesus. This weekend, my wife and I were at a parish in Omaha, Nebraska. We were there. We had a little date night because we got a free weekend. Her parents stepped up and they watched our kids so we could have a date night before our baby arrives here in January. Lovely weekend. But we went to this church. It was a long mass. The mass itself was about 80 minutes long. So 20 minutes over, what you expect, which is fine. It was a good service. The priest preached a nice homily. It was a little long. That was part of the reason it went long. But the reason it went extra long was because 15 minutes of the experience was a 10-minute pulpit announcement, followed by a second homily from the pastor that was another 5 minutes to reiterate what the person had said in their 10-minute pulpit announcement and encourage the parishioners to take action. And it was like, I'm so sick of this, man. We have a problem in our church where we think just because we have a captive audience that we can say whatever we want and it'll do the thing. And it's just not the case. I mean, Ty, have you ever been the victim of this?
Yes.
Yeah. And so this lady got up, and I'm sure she's very good at her job. But she got up. The first thing she did was introduce herself, tell us about her position and where she works. She's with the Catholic schools somewhere in there. I'm already not paying attention because now she goes into a list of thank yous that she needs to list off related to the thing she's about to talk about. And then she goes into about 6 or 7 minutes of stats and figures and the numbers for this initiative that they did, how much they raised, how much more they need to raise. And it's all like, this is good news. These are not bad things to talk about. But it's absurd to put it here at the end of Mass, right? First of all, half the members of this congregation don't send their kids to the Catholic school, right? And you're not engaging them anyway if they're not doing that, because you might also have a bunch of new parishioners or parishioners that don't even have kids. And so they're not really invested in this. And also taking the fact that a lot of these parishioners have young kids and they're unruly already, and now you're going to take them for another 15-minute ride it just got completely hijacked in the moment. And we all know that feeling of seeing somebody walk up to the pulpit and they've got their stack of papers that is their announcement, and you can see it's multiple pages, it's single spaced, and they're just reading it off the page. So this is our call out to our parishes, like, please stop trying to bore people into participation. Let's work on our announcements. Let's work on how we engage people, because I think you've got an important mission, and we're not helping ourselves if we're not really doing a real call to action that engages the hearts of those listening. So what I want to share then is, as an alternative to the way things have typically been done, where somebody's just given this opportunity to talk to this captive audience, I want to propose a template that I have used, that I recently used to advertise our spiritual gifts mission, or God's plan for your life mission that we offer through Catholic ministry professionals. I offered it at my church. Now, I personally think that no prophet is without honor except in his own home. And so whenever I offer something in my parish, or I get asked to, I have a very low expectation for how many people will participate. That said, I thought if I can really knock this pulpit announcement out of the park, it might help. And I'll tell you, we got 3 times the people that I expected. So it tripled the expected participation for this particular mission.
3 people showed up?
Yeah, 3. My mom and 2 of her friends.
And Ethel.
And Ethel. So I just want you to know, if we can do this well, we can really help ourselves to engage more of our parish in the awesome ministries that we are attempting to do in our parishes, the good work that God has called us to. So I want to give you the framework that I use, that I believe can triple parish participation in your ministry efforts. And we're going to cover that today. All right, let's do it. So I think the goal here with any announcement, if it's a pulpit announcement, it's coming at the end of Mass or even at the end of the homily, whatever it is, 10 minutes is too long for anybody to add to what's happening on Mass day, on the Sunday Mass. So your goal is try to get a really solid announcement out in 3 to 5 minutes tops. And that's 5 minutes only if you're engaging them really. So the framework is this. I'm going to give you the really simple framework, and then I'm going to give the example of what I use for our pulpit announcements, which is included if you were to hire us or bring us in for this parish mission. We give you this pulpit announcement, and you can just put it right in your bulletin. You can have somebody read it off from the front, and it will engage more people. So the basic framework is this. There's 3 parts. You want to nail the opening line, right? You need a story that connects what it is that you're inviting people to. And then the third part is to reiterate the opening line as a call to action. All right, so those are the 3 parts. It's really simple. Again, you want to nail that opening line. So often people get up, they announce who they are, they talk about what their accolades are or their achievements or their participation in this particular ministry. By then, most people already don't care and have tuned out. If you've got little kids, you're already not paying attention because it's this organization. I don't care. I'm not paying attention. It's not about my kid's school. It's not about my kid's religious education. I'm done. Right? At that point, you've already lost people. That's why you need to nail the opening line. You don't start with that name, title, or list of accomplishments. You start with the problem. You start with the one thing that you need people to hear. Thai, is that true for sales too, or marketing, how you kind of use that?
Always. If you just come at somebody with information and they just get overloaded with information, what ends up happening is analysis paralysis, where you actually don't get them to do anything. You may feel good that you got all of this information off of your chest, or you read it without stumbling and bumbling over your words. But the fact of the matter is they're not going to do anything, which is opposite of what you were trying to get them to do. So if you can hit them right where they're feeling the pain, so to speak, or they understand the pain, you're going to get more engagement out of them. You're going to get at least their attention if you start with the problem. So in sales, we talk about either being product-centric or problem-centric. The salesperson that can be the problem-centric salesperson is 99% of the time going to be more successful. So 100%.
Yeah, start with that problem. You gotta engage them. Give them something that goes, oh, I need to hear what comes next. Absolutely. And what comes next then in this framework, this template that I want you to do is the story that makes the point. Okay? You don't need to inundate them with stats and figures. I mean, we heard about 15 statistics in this announcement that I heard last weekend. I don't remember any of them. I couldn't state any of them. I could synthesize it and say, okay, what they wanted me to know is that we raised a good amount, but we need more. That was ultimately what they were trying to say with all those stats, but you can't keep any of that stuff in your head. Maybe if you need a stat, it's like one, but it's that one stat that's going to blow their minds. Like, 90% of the kids in this room aren't going to practice their faith when they become adults, right? That's a one simple stat that goes, oh, that's also the problem. But then you tell a story alongside it, and the story makes the point. They've done all kinds of studies, and you can just Google this and you'll find it. The thing that engages the human brain more than any rational argument or whatever is a story. As soon as you start telling a story, you cease to be on the page and you start to be alive in the minds of the people that are listening. It engages the brain in a whole new way. So if you can either bring someone in that's got a quick little testimonial, or maybe you've got, if it's with the Catholic schools, you've got one of the kids that benefits from this, and you can just have that beautiful person there and just tell the story about their life that their parents want people to know, or whatever it is. I mean, you tell that story. It's not a list of facts and figures. It's not a lengthy process that you want them to know about or be a part of. It's the story that engages the mind and the heart in the thing that you want them to know, that brings to life the stats and figures. It brings to life the process. It brings to life the truth of what you want them to know. So you want to do that. And again, you want to do that in like 1 to 3 minutes. You don't want it. They don't need another 10-minute story, right? You do it in 1 to 3 minutes. Keep it short, keep it succinct, because the goal is to leave them wanting more. I want to know more about this. I need to know more about this. And if you give the whole story with it, if you give the whole recipe, they have nothing to show up for. All right, so a quick story that's going to engage them, it's going to make that point and prove all the other things that you want them to know. And then finally, that last part is to have an opening line stated as a call to action. And this is where maybe you have 100 stats and statistics you want them to know. Maybe you've got a big process that you want them to be a part of, or a whole rhythm you want them to get in tune with. This is where you invite them to engage with that. So maybe you've got your quick pulpit announcement, but you're like, but we filmed a video. We've got this video. It tells you everything that you need to know. We're going to send it to you in an email. We want you to watch that later today and consider giving, right? That's a very specific call to action. It's that opening line stated as a call to action. And so you're re-engaging that initial moment that piqued their interest. And you're saying, if this resonates with you, do this thing. And that could be, again, an email. It could be a video. It could be calling the parish office. Don't give out the parish office number, because, again, that's a number they're not going to keep in their brains. But tell them to call the office. Tell them to sign up there in the back. Tell them that Ethel's in the back with a bunch of handouts. Please stop by Ethel, get the handout, and learn more. And you can put the handouts in the bulletin, or you can put a little QR code in the bulletin. Say, hey, in the bulletin, here's this QR code. Here's this link. Here's this email. Here's this phone number. Call that if this has touched your heart in any way that you want to participate. And if you follow those 3 steps, if you stick to those, a quick opening line that takes no more than 1 minute to do, a story that takes no more than 3 minutes to tell, and then the opening line stated as a call to action, those 3 pieces, and you're going to boost the engagement automatically, just because people are dialing in and listening to the things that you're telling them from the pulpit. So I want to give you a real concrete example. Again, this is the pulpit announcement that I used for our God's plan for your life mission that we do for churches. And so I'm just going to give this example here, and I'm going to tell you exactly the way that I would do it from the pulpit. And listen if you can see those 3 points as we go through. Do you ever wonder this? If God loves me so much, why doesn't he talk to me? Right? This is a question we all have. It starts when we're young. I remember a friend of mine talking to his son, tucking him in at night, and they were going to start their prayers, and his son started to cry. And he looked at him, he said, "Son, why are you crying?" And his 5-year-old looked him in the eyes and said, Dad, I don't think God loves me. Well, why would you think that, son? Because I talk to God all the time, and he never talks back to me. We all know this feeling. right? And as we get older, it evolves a little bit. I remember watching my dad get sick, right? Watching the strongest man that I know get sick slowly lose his strength until he had no strength left, right? And at that moment, I wanted God to talk to me, to tell me, what is the plan here, Lord? If any of this resonates with the experience that you have in your life, I want to invite you to join me on November 10th for the God's Plan in Your Life event. We're going to learn how to hear God speaking more clearly and uncover his plan for your life. So call the parish office and let them know you're coming so we can have everything ready for you. End scene, right? That's a pulpit announcement, right? That call to action at the end, that story sandwiched in the middle, and then that problem that we all have in our lives. Do you wonder why you don't hear God speak if he loves you so much? We all know that it resonates. You tell the story that connects it, that they go, yeah, I remember feeling that way when I was young. I probably feel that way now. Life's gotten complicated. I've lost people. I want to know what the plan is. So it's an invitation to discover some of the answers to those questions and with a specific way to sign up. Right? So I want to encourage you, if this is something that you feel that your parish could benefit from having a rhythm, a process for making your pulpit announcements to engage your parishioners on a deeper level, I put together a worksheet and it walks people exactly through these 3 steps. You can literally download the worksheet anytime somebody wants to make it a pulpit announcement, whether it's one of the big groups in the parish or one of the small groups in the parish, whether it's your campus minister or your youth minister or your RCIA professional. Whoever does these things, you hand them this announcement sheet, this pulpit announcement worksheet, and they can go through and they can literally script it out. And rather than walking up with 3 or 4 pages of notes to try and read aloud, they've got their bullet points that they need to hit that are going to grab people's hearts and pull them forward.
Amazing. I wish I'd have heard that pulpit announcement. I might have showed up.
I emailed it to you.
I went in the spam.
So I think with that, though, we can move on to the devil's advocate. Dun dun.
This just sounds like more work. I'd rather just go up there and wing it.
Yeah, I know. Hey, this is the devil's advocate that we've had for this Ministry Fix series. Everything we're proposing is going to be more work in some way. But this one, truly, it's not a lot more work. It's a little bit of work, but it's not a lot more work. All it is accountability. All you need to do to make this work is create an email template that has the specific details that you want them to know. And then anytime somebody wants to do one of these announcements, you've downloaded our worksheet. You just put that template in, add the worksheet, and tell them what day they need to have the worksheet back to you so that you can approve their pulpit announcement. And if they don't respond in time, then you just say, hey, better luck next time. I guess you should have had it in on, if they can't hit the deadline, then don't let them make an announcement. That's that simple. Sometimes you might have the diocese saying, hey, we want to send someone out to talk about X initiative that we have going on. And you can say, sure, that's great. We want you to do it in this style. This is the way we do announcements. The diocesan staff, they're not your bosses. They do not employ you for the most part, at least in my understanding in every parish I've ever worked in. They are a resource for you. So you can be happy to help them and do the things that they ask you to do. But if they want to come into your parish and talk to your flock, then you need to be sure that they do it in a way that's going to engage them. And you know what? If you triple their impact for this announcement from your parish, they're going to thank you for that. They'll probably ask you to do it more often, but this is a good thing. This is not overly, it's just putting in place this process by which you approve these announcements so that they can have the effect that they need to have for our ministries to bear ever greater fruit. And so I really want to encourage you, again, it's really simple, to take the time to do this, to put in place this process so that you can bear that fruit.
So good.
How about some actionable steps?
That'd be great.
All right, of course. We never want to leave you without something that you can do today to take action on our discussion. And so go to catholicministryprofessionals.com/resources and download the pulpit announcement worksheet. You can use that and offer it up for the next person that wants to give your announcement. And I want you to really see that impact and say, wow, this You can literally look around the room and see the eyes that are engaged in the person that's giving the announcement and know that, wow, this is hitting home. So please download that today. And finally, thank you for listening to the Catholic Ministry Professionals podcast. It only takes one saint to start a blaze of the Holy Spirit. So if you are the saint the world needs for today, but you find that your ministry efforts are being frustrated, send an email to catholicminpros@gmail.com. We would love to talk with you about how our trainings or mission events can help you to transform your parish through your work. And finally, if you found this episode helpful, please take a few seconds to text it to a priest or a friend in ministry that can benefit from it.
And with that, we'll see you in the vineyard.